Welcome back everybody to Stauffer Garage, and today we're going to discuss the top detailing mistakes that I have witnessed in the past with friends, with family, with people that I've watched clean cars, and also mistakes that I have made until I learned the proper way to do things, which is part of this whole detailing journey and why I want to share this video with you guys so you can improve your detailing game and make sure you're washing your car and cleaning it properly. Now, the first mistake I want to talk about today is washing your car in direct sunlight. And the reason why that is a bad thing to do is, one, when you first spray your car with water, that water is going to dry, which is going to create water spots. It's not going to get rid of any of that dirt because it's going to re-dry back to that surface. And then when you wash your car with soap and you put that soap on the surface to lift that dirt up off the paint to rinse it off, that soap will now dry back onto the paint, creating the same problem that you had in the first place. Like I mentioned earlier, the water spot issue. Water spots can etch into your paint. They can cause a bigger issue than you can imagine, with hard water especially. It's just something you want to avoid. So after you drive your car for a while, if your car is hot and warmed up, let your car sit, let it cool down before you wash your car. And if you can, wash your car in the afternoon after the sun has started to set in the sky behind your house or in the shade. At least lower in the sky, like 4 o'clock typically is not a bad time to do it. Or early in the morning when the sun is just starting to come up and you have a little bit of time, like an hour, to get the car washed before it gets super hot and the sun gets high in the sky. So that is the first mistake that I typically see, is make sure you wash your car out of direct sunlight and when the car is not hot. Now, the next mistake that I want to talk about is how to wash your car properly from the top of the car to the bottom. One of the biggest things that you don't want to do is start at the bottom of your car, start at the bumper, start at the lip of the side skirt of your car or the bumper where all that exhaust and dirt gets caked on the car. You always want to start washing your car from the top to the bottom. And then from the top to the bottom, you want to make sure you do the front and rear last. And the main reason why is, like I mentioned, you have all of that dirt, all of that road grime, debris, bugs, everything else. And as you get lower in the car, you're going to have more and more of that dirt on your car. If you ever notice when you wash your car, your roof is the least dirty part of your car typically, or the top of your trunk, or the top of your hood. Those are always the least dirty portions of your vehicle. So by doing those first, you're not transferring any of that lower dirt onto your sponge and running the risk of taking that dirt on your sponge and carrying it to the top of the car where you never had that issue in the first place. Now, one other mistake I typically see and that you want to avoid is you want to make sure you do not wash your car in circular motions or against the airflow across your vehicle. Now, let me explain. Now, when you're driving down the road and you're going through the air is coming over your front bumper, over the roof of the car, and over the trunk, and over the top, or across the sides like this. And if you wash your car up and down or in circular motions, any of the dirt or dust that goes across your car's paint when you're going is going in the direction across your car. Now, if you wash it this way, now you're creating additional scratches in the opposite direction. So now you're creating more scratches. Now, if you wash your car in the same direction, you're less likely to induce further scratching that is going to be more visible. Whereas if you wash it in the direction of airflow across your vehicle, you minimize that risk. Now, you can always run the risk of scratching your car when you wash it, but if you can minimize the different directions, it does help make it less visible. And that is what is causing those swirl marks. That's what they're called. Swirl marks is when you see that swirling type effect of scratches on a car's paint. And the sad part is, a lot of new cars that come from a dealership, they run it through that car wash and they get them brand new, which that's always a big no-no. So do not use drive-through car washes, and always wash your car in the direction of airflow across your vehicle. The next mistake is washing your wheels and tires last. You want to do that first. And the main reason why you want to do it first is, one, wheels and tires are always a pain in the butt. Brake dust, when it gets caked on there and hardened from getting hot, it's really hard to get off. So if you get that out of the way first, one, it's easier to get it done with instead of saving it for last for that reason. But two, when you clean the wheels and tires, there's a lot more dirt and grime and brake dust on those. And when you fling, your brushes around and you're cleaning them after you wash your car's paint, you run the risk of spraying all of that dirt back onto the paint that you just washed. So if you do the dirtiest portion of the car first, which is the tires that's in contact with the road, do those first to minimize that overspray or overspreading of that dirt, if you will, onto the paint after you clean it. Now, another mistake that I see is not cleaning your wheels and tires properly. Typically what I see is people just clean the outside face of the tire and call it a day. For me personally, that is not enough, because what can happen is on the inside of those spokes, you get a lot of buildup, and that's why I have flexible brushes to reach in there, clean the back sides, clean the inside of that wheel barrel, clean that brake caliper, all of those different things to make sure that that dirt and grime doesn't get built up. Because I don't know if you've ever checked your wheel barrels, but Typically on a used car that doesn't get that kind of, service or that kind of attention, that inside barrel will get lots of dots of brake dust buildup and dirt that gets caked in there. And when it gets hot in there from your brake disc and your brake caliper stopping your car, that stuff starts getting solidified and caked on there to the point where it is really, really hard to get off. And if you've ever done this before and ever cleaned the wheel barrel on a used car, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That stuff is super hard to get off sometimes, and sometimes you have to take the whole wheel off the car to even get enough room to get a drill brush or, chipping it off with some sort of, hard object or hard knife or something. Make sure you have the proper tools for cleaning your wheels. And the other big thing is if you have polished rims or a face that is a very scratch-prone surface, do not use a drill brush, do not use a hard bristle brush, do not use anything that is metal of a handle or anything like that. The brush that I use is very soft bristled, plus it is a plastic head on it, so that way if you do knock it into the, the face of the rim, you're not gonna scratch it or chip it or anything like that. So when it comes to cleaning your wheels, make sure you have the proper tools and the proper products to make sure you get that brake dust broken down and cleaned up properly. Now the other mistake that I see, and you guys have seen it in my videos after I do a disaster detail and when I did my tool cleanup video, my vacuum gets absolutely filthy. It gets disgusting. And if you clean your car and you use it over and over again, you need to make sure that you regularly empty out your vacuum, make sure your filter's clean, make sure you rinse out your hose, make sure you clean and take care of your tools. And that's a broad statement for all the tools you use, but I'm specifically talking about your vacuum here because what can happen over time is one, it can get moldy, it can get smelly if you suck up any liquids. As that filter gets clogged, you get less suction power, it gets less effective at removing dirt from your car. Make sure you clean out your tools, make sure you take care of all of your equipment that you use for your detailing. If you have watched my videos, and if you haven't, you need to go check out all of the disaster deep cleans that I've done in the past because you will be blown away with the type of stuff I find in my videos. But the biggest suggestion that I've always talked about in mine is removing the seats from your car. And the main reason why I say that is not to remove your seats if you don't need to, but make sure you clean underneath your seats. You will be amazed at the type of stuff I personally find, but even on a used car that's in good condition, the amount of crap that you can find underneath the seat, because when you're driving between the center console and the seat, you'll have stuff that falls between there. When you're getting in and out on the other side, just stuff gets accumulated underneath your seat without you even knowing. And that is a big portion of the car that if you keep clean, it's just an added little benefit that you definitely need to make sure, because that's where food or other things will get stuck underneath there and you'll be wondering where the smell is coming from. That's a good spot to look. Always make sure when you're vacuuming your car, you get the tiny hose attachment. This one does a great job at getting into those tight spots between your center console, but also underneath your seat. So lift your seat up as high as it can, move it forward and back, tilt it every which direction so that way you have as much room underneath there as possible to get all of those crumbs and all of that dirt. And that leads into the next mistake, which is drying your car with just a regular old microfiber towel. One of the biggest things I can suggest is picking up a drying towel from, your favorite store or from foxclean.com. I have a whole batch on order right now that is hopefully going to be here in the next month or so. But my drying towels that I like to use, and you'll see here in these shots, they're super large, they're very heavy, and when you drop them on the car, you literally just have to slide them across the paint surface and it will soak up all of that water. That one towel can literally dry the entire outside surface of a car, and it makes it so much easier just to have one towel to use for that specific task. And make sure you don't let it hit the ground, make sure you don't use it on your wheels and tires, but if you just use it on the outside paint, that towel then can be hung up to dry or lightly washed to be used for the next detail. But my biggest suggestion is make sure you have a drying towel specifically just for drying your car. Now the next mistake I see and that I talk about in my videos regularly is that vacuuming is like the 80-20 principle. 20% of the effort by vacuuming gives you 80% of the results for a clean car. Just by vacuuming regularly on a weekly basis even will make your car look amazing. Make it look like new just by getting all of that dirt and debris that kind of gets in your car and cleaning out all of that trash is a great thing to do on a regular basis and is something that is typically missed and just kind of gets put off to the wayside. Vacuuming, in my opinion, only takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops to get done. So have a friend, have your spouse or your kids help you. Just get it done real quickly, and getting your kids involved with that process helps make sure that they learn the tips and advice that you're learning as well, and making sure that they have good habits as they get older and when they get to driving age, which is scary to be honest, because as a dad, I don't even want to think about my kids driving at this point. But just having your car vacuum is one of the biggest tips that I can recommend with keeping your car clean and detailed on a regular basis. Now, related to the tool thing, take care of your brushes. This includes your wheel brushes and your tire brushes, your detailing brushes, any brush that you use inside your car, your drill brushes, for instance. Take care of those products, take care of those items. Now, for what I do is I take my detailing brushes and I sit them in a thing of all-purpose cleaner, dilute it, and just let it sit in there for, an hour, and then I agitate them inside there, and then just rinse them off with water. It's real quick and easy, but like I mentioned, taking care of your tools ensures that your next detail you are ready for, plus you're not taking any of that old dirt from a previous clean and bringing it into another clean afterwards. So make sure you're always taking care of your tools is kind of the main point here. Now, another mistake, and I have been guilty of it myself, I will admit it happens sometimes when you get lost in the whole process of cleaning your car, and that is why it is a good reason to have a step-by-step process written down on paper. So that way you can follow it as you go to make sure you don't miss any of these steps in the direction and within the process that you're supposed to follow. Now, the next mistake I see is when it comes to using microfiber towels. Microfiber towels, if you use them, say, for your wheels and tires, you don't want to use that same towel for the next detail, even after it's washed, for polishing your paint or buffing off a wax. And the reason why is that towel that you just use on your wheels and tires, no matter how hard you try to clean it, you still run the potential of taking that sand and dirt from that dirtier portion of the oil and bring it onto a part of your car that you really do not want to use it for. So for me personally, I have different types of microfiber towels, different colors that I use for different portions of the vehicle. And then even if I use the same towels that I use on the outside of the car for the inside, I dedicate towels for each portion of the car. So I have my towels for buffing and polishing and for waxing for that fine detailing portion of it. I have interior towels. I have those grimy towels that I can use that are maybe my older ones that are starting to get a little bit degraded. I use those for those dirty, super nasty things that if they do become too dirty, I can just chuck them because they're already at end of life. And then I have drying towels, which are larger, thicker towels that I only use for that sort of thing, or I have a drying towel just for the wheels and rims after the car's been washed. So make sure when you're detailing your car, you have towels allocated for certain categories. And as you kind of get more into the detailing game, you'll kind of get more towels and accumulate more products. And that's kind of the best way that I can suggest that you do your detailing journey is start with a few things and slowly start building up over time until you have this huge arsenal of stuff that you can use for certain portions of your vehicle. Now, the next mistake that I see is not using a dedicated car glass cleaner like this. This is from Stoner's Invisible Glass, and the main reason why you want to use a dedicated cleaner for your car is this one is ammonia free. So like Windex or other glass cleaners that you use in your home, they have ammonia in them. And that ammonia will rip up your plastic. If you have overspray onto your plastic panels, it will degrade rubber. It will also tear up your tint. So you do not want to use an ammonia product on the inside of your car, period, especially not on your glass, because one, it will leave streaks, which will make it hard to see at nighttime or in the day if you have streaks on your inside of your windows. But an interior glass like this, I've used the same product for over 20 years. This stuff kicks butt. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And also, I want everybody to comment their top detailing tip or mistake they've done and how to prevent it down below in the comments, so that way we can all increase our detailing knowledge. For me personally, I always learn new stuff about detailing. I'm always researching new things. And for you guys, I'm sure you guys agree that you learn new stuff on this channel. And if we all collaborate down in the comments and give those tips and suggestions, it's only helping everybody out. So go ahead and leave those comments down below. And if you like this type of video as well on this channel, give this video a thumbs up. That way I can know that you guys want to see more of this type of content, because I can give you tons more detailing tips and mistakes on everything that I've personally made and that I've learned that I can share with you. And on that note, I will see you guys this Saturday. Bye, guys.